Our next contestant, Jan Taylor. Spiders in the workplace. Spiders in the workplace. Jan Taylor.
What are you really afraid of? When you're little, you're taught nursery rhymes like Little Miss Muffet and Eensy Teensy Spider. When I was in kindergarten, I was taught this rhyme. I'm a little spider, watch me spin. If you be my dinner, I'll let you come in. I'll wrap you up in a web so tight, then I'll gobble you down with one big bite. No wonder we're afraid of spiders. Now, a long time ago, when I worked at Albertson's distribution center, I watched as Dan jumped off his forklift, leaving his bananas in midair. He ran about 20 feet and he said, "Go get Beckman." Whatever. So I walked over to the bananas and I scooped up a really nice sized spider. But what it made me realize was that Dan, the man, was afraid of spiders. Now, working in a warehouse, you are physically challenged, but your mind, it has all the time in the world, and so it did for me. Each morning, we would come in to a banana room that we had set up as an office. Now, a banana room is a large, closet that is 7 pallets deep and 4 pallets high. In there, we had stacked a pallet that we used as our desk. Every morning, we'd come in and check in. One day, shortly after Halloween, I went into our office, I climbed up on the desk, and I took a string and I tied it from one edge of the racking to the other edge of the racking. And then taking one of those little black Halloween spiders, I tied it up and set it on the ledge, draping my string, and making a pull cord down the edge. Well, as you can imagine, the next morning when Dave, Dan, and I went to check in, Dave and I started talking about 8-legged creatures just as he pulls the string. The spider slipped off the edge and rolled back and right into Dan's face. And he screamed and he ran over the top of me, knocking me to the ground. We laughed so hard that we had tears. But it didn't take Dan too long to realize he truly had been punked. And from then on, it started back and forth and back and forth. Now, my job at Albertsons was repack. I worked in perishable, where it was cold. What I would do is take large containers and break them into small containers to send out to the store. On this particular day, I picked up a 50-pound box of ginger root, flipped it over on my table as my eye caught something crawling off the edge of the counter. Getting a cup, I caught myself a really good spider. I put him in a plastic bag, and then I remembered Dan. I decided to take a sticky paper and roll it and then place it on his forklift. And then I would take that spider and put him on the forklift. It would be just like a fly on fly paper. It'd be perfect, epic. Well, I wasn't quite sure how I was going to do that. So I put this spider in a plastic bag in my locker where it's warm. Later on, during my break, I brought my coworker Sharon in, and we're looking at the spider with both our eyes. And he's looking back at us with all 4 of his eyes. His massive jaws came down with fangs. I think I even noticed some saliva dripping off of him. And then without notice, he went to the back of the bag and he lurched at us. And then he went back to the bag and he lurched at us again. With that, Sharon threw her arms up in the air and left me alone in the locker room with that spider. He lurched at me one more time, and I realized I really couldn't do this either. Doing the only thing that was natural, I took him into the second stall. I untied the bag and I held him over the porcelain bowl. And as I flushed, I shook the bag and he fell gracefully down to the edge of the bag, grabbed it, and ran up towards my hand. Now, I couldn't leave him there, so taking some gaskets, I reached around and I drug him as I flushed again. He ran across the top of the water out the other side of the bowl. Just like, oh my gosh, this is stupid. One more try, I finally was able to flush him down. I flushed the toilet 2 or 3 more times just to make sure he had truly went down. And the rest of the time I worked at Albertsons, I never used that stall again. Now, it's no wonder, with all the sensationalizing that newspapers do with spider stories, that we are afraid of spiders. But if you talk to any master gardener, you might know that a spider can be a gardener's best friend. The next time you go into your garden and you see that beautiful web there, listen. Listen very, very carefully. And you just might hear him say, "I'm a little spider, watch me spin. If you let me stay in your garden within, I'll catch all the bugs, I'll wrap them up tight, and I'll gobble them down each and every night." What are you really afraid of?
One minute of silence for our judges.